Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to the bunker. It's time for another voicemail. Today's voicemail is from a caller named Brandon. Let's listen to what Brandon has to say.
Hey Lloyd, my name is Brandon. I'm from Washington State in the US. Feel free to use this recording on your channel. I appreciate everything you do. My wife and I are both recently awake, past 6 months, due in large part to your videos. So uh, you're doing a good thing. You're really helping people to see uh, what is true. So thank you for that. And my question really is around formally disassociating. So um, previously, our thoughts were we're just going to walk away, hard fade, stop all contact, etc. And that's pretty much what we've done. Um, Still polite when I get text messages from elders, etc. Um, but recently, my wife's family became aware that we no longer believe, and in fact, we believe some things that they would consider apostate. Um, they have since outed us to uh, everyone, anyone we've ever known. We live in Washington State, they live in California. Um, we also have family and friends and the East Coast, and that's where we're both originally from. So it was kind of strange enough to make your head spin, but within a few hours of them finding out something this juicy, it seems to have spread across the entire country, and we are now famously apostates among our former family and friends. So um, part of me is like, well, everyone already knows anyway, so why not just send in the letter, rip the band-aid off, stop the phone calls, text messages, requests for shepherding visits, and all that type of stuff, and just move on with our lives. But I'm hesitant to do that. Uh, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but everyone who's found out has written us off and pretty much said they're going to shun us, with the exception of my parents, who are long time inactive, and they live across the country from me, so um, it's a complicated story there. I still suspect that we're going to be mostly shunned. So um, I hold back doing the formal disassociation only because I'm worried that that would close any door for the future of possibly having a relationship again with, especially my brother, and he's got two kids that I've grown very close to, and just I feel like if there's a formal announcement that that'll just completely shut the door, but it might just be wishful thinking. I feel like the door is probably already closed. They pretty much said that they're not going to talk to or see us again, um, just based off of what they know. So, anyway, wanted to get your thoughts and your take on that. See what you think about hard fading versus um, just disassociating and walking away, and if there's any validity to some of what I'm thinking about the door being open or closed. But anyway, I appreciate everything you do. I hope you are well, and thanks very much for listening to my message.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for leaving that message, Brandon. It's a very painful and difficult situation, isn't it? And it's one that I'm sure many viewers will relate to. I certainly relate to it. I've obviously dealt with this whole question of to fade or not to fade a number of times in these voicemail videos, and I try not to go over the same ground again and again because I think it gets repetitive. But I think your particular message was very useful in showing the way the Jehovah's Witness grapevine swings into action the minute there's any kind of scandal, particularly surrounding someone being disfellowshipped or someone being perceived as an apostate. So this is a prime example of how it works, you know? And I've been on the receiving end of this sort of treatment myself. In the early days when I was first starting to wake up, I confided in one or two people. It doesn't sit well with me the way my best man at my wedding, who is an elder in Poland, actually. He's English, but he's currently in Poland, or he was the last time I checked. Just to show you how much I empathize with your situation, I opened up to him because I viewed him as my best friend. And I shared with him what one or two of my doubts were. And he didn't reply. He didn't reply to my email. But what he did do was go around telling everybody that I knew and cared about that I was an apostate. And this is before I'd even dabbled in activism. It was before I'd done anything on the scale that I'm doing now. It was literally just some genuine questions that I had, just some simple doubts that I had. And based on that, rather than reply to my email, rather than speak to me and engage with me and try to salvage me in some way, his first knee-jerk reaction was, I'm going to out him as an apostate to everyone that we both know. So I relate very much. And in fact, I can remember, was it in 2012, when I was still sort of incognito. I still, people didn't know that I was, quote unquote, an apostate. I was essentially a PIMO. And I went to my old Kingdom Hall in Wilmslow, more than anything, just to... I felt at that point as though it would be a kindness to my family to make an appearance at the Kingdom Hall, just to kind of quell the rumours. And this older sister walked up to me and said, and this is like a family friend, someone I'd known since I was really, really small. And I'll never forget her walking up to me and saying, Lloyd, I've heard that you're an apostate now. Is this true? In the Kingdom Hall, saying that to me, you know? And all I could say was, well, I'm still a Jehovah's Witness, you know? And that seemed to satisfy her. But yeah, it's really, it says a lot about the nature of the organization that your business is everyone's business. You know, the JW grapevine swings into operation with the slightest provocation. And to your question about whether the door has closed, I think you've already answered it in your voicemail. You say that you feel as though the door may already have closed. I would tend to agree with that assessment. I think that the ship has very much sailed in terms of shunning. And this is actually the problem with the Jehovah's Witness culture, is that there are multiple versions of shunning. There's marking, there's formal disassociation and disfellowshipping, and there's what's called bad association. And the effects of bad association can be just as bad, or being viewed as bad association can be just as bad as if you were being formally shunned through disassociation and disfellowshipping. And it sounds as though that's already the case for you. So it sounds as though the door has already closed. As to what you do next, as to whether you rip the Band-Aid off and disassociate, or try to maybe backpedal a little bit, try to put up an appearance of being a Jehovah's Witness in hopes of remedying the situation or reconciling with your brother and your two nieces or nephews. That's entirely up to you. Nobody can tell you what to do. It's an incredibly personal decision as to whether anyone disassociates or fades from the organization. But again, based on what you've already told me, I think the ship has sailed. I think once you make it clear to people, as I did, that there are doubts, to the extent where you no longer believe the Jehovah's Witness religion to be true, once word gets out, I'm afraid it's kind of a done deal. And, you know, it's very, very difficult to recover those relationships unless you're willing to do a heck of a lot of backpedaling and say an awful lot of things that just aren't true. Saying, oh, it's just doubt. Actually, I believe this is God's organization, whatever. And I'm assuming that that wouldn't sit well with you at all. It certainly wouldn't sit well with me. It's just a really crappy situation that we've all found ourselves in, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, that is. It's a situation that shouldn't have to exist, but it does exist, and we just have to make the best of it. But for what it's worth, I can tell you, because this seems to be quite recent for you, you say in the past 6 months you've woken up. I can tell you that as the years tick by, it gets easier. It really does get easier. You establish your own new network of friends. You build your own community, your own social bonds, and the shunning does get easier with time, I can assure you. So I hope some or all of what I've said there has been useful, and thanks again for leaving your message. If you would like to leave a voicemail, the thing to do is go to speakpipe.com/Cedars, remembering to indicate clearly if you don't want me to broadcast your message on my channel. But that's about all I have time for. Thank you so much for watching.